Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, the Trae Young era is over in Atlanta. What comes next for the Hawks, whose future suddenly looks very different? And can Trae Young help maximize a young Wizards roster? We'll talk about that. Plus, Giannis saying that it's not in his nature to ask for a trade. It's all coming up on today's Locked On NBA Daily.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in, on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks for making us your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg, and today we're talking about the big Trae Young deal. We're going to talk about what's next for the Hawks and the Wizards after the trade, and then get into these comments from Giannis about his commitment to the Milwaukee Bucks, and we're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast, he's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Wiz Hive! I'm so excited for the Wizards fans to have something to be excited about, even if it's just Trae Young.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. It's Haize.
Let's be clear here. Nobody should be excited about Trae Young being on their team, Matt. Let's stop the bull crap. We'll talk about it.
Right out of the gate. Let's start with that big news from last night that the Hawks have traded Trae Young to the Wizards, and in return, they get CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. No draft picks, surprisingly enough, were involved in the deal. It's the end of an era in Atlanta, and some fans, I think, might be surprised by the lack of the return for the Hawks. Brad Rowland of Locked On Hawks, who's been all over this story from the beginning, was a little lukewarm about the trade from Atlanta's perspective. Here's more on his reaction.
Frankly, as an observer, as an analyst of the Hawks, this is an underwhelming return. I use that word purposely. I don't believe that it's a terrible return. I've seen a lot of people say that. I totally understand why. Like, the notion has been out there, like, how do the Hawks make this trade and get no picks back for Trae Young? Very reasonable question. And honestly, if I was grading the trade from a neutral party perspective, for example, Kevin Pelton of ESPN, he gave the Hawks a B and the Wizards a B. Like, it's basically like a tacit plus on both sides. I like the Wizards side of this a little bit more than the Hawks side, if I was doing like the 10,000-foot analysis. But there are also deals that can make sense for both teams, and this kind of does. So there's a little bit of nuance in there. Like, I don't love this trade for the Hawks.
Haize, the petty is strong with you today. How would you rate this trade for the Atlanta Hawks? You can give it a grade, you don't have to, but how would you rate this trade for the Hawks?
It's an A+. Like, you're clearing somebody who you have had a better record without over the last 3 years. You've had a better record with him off the court than on the court. You have this young roster that, if I'm not mistaken, was above 500 before Trae Young returned. They're now below 500. On top of that, you've gained cap flexibility. You now have $88 million in cap space in the summer of 2026, on top of 2 first-round picks in a deep draft that you can make a move toward to add young talent to. Listen, I get it. If this trade would have been made 2 or 3 years earlier, you probably would have been getting some draft picks back. But I think the clarity with the young core that the Hawks already have on this roster, how good a lot of these young players are, now you can go out there and still add to them, whether it be in the draft or if you decide to combine those picks with your cap flexibility to add some key veterans. The Hawks have made a series of really good deals. Nikola Alexander-Walker was one that's been an absolute steal for them. This is an A for considering it. Yeah, would you like to get some draft picks back for a 4-time All-Star? Yeah, but everybody saw the writing on the wall with this one. I think, considering the situation, they did about as good as you can do.
I'll say this. I actually, it's funny everyone's talking about, the Hawks getting picks. I think the Hawks did a really good job not having to send a pick here. People really don't understand how prohibitive these contracts are. Like, unless you're trading for Giannis, Luka, why did anyone ever trade Luka Doncic? Jokic, Shea, that level of guy, Cade Cunningham, those contracts are largely prohibitive. Like, they just are. It's hard to build around them. If you don't have a guy that you know is worth the max, if you're not sure that they're worth the max, they aren't worth the max because of where the salary cap is at with the aprons. I am most interested in what Atlanta does from here, because I don't think you can be done. They had some fun games without Trae Young this year, but even without him, they've started they're dipping. They're not good on defense, actually. Like their numbers do not reflect. This isn't a top 10 defense. They've got to be able to improve the whole roster. What's interesting is Porzingis is 30 million. CJ is expiring 30 million. And you have like these other assets. I think there's probably like I am most interested in what Atlanta does from here rather than what they were going to get for Trae, because it was never going to be good.
So Brad got into that on his podcast, talking about how the deal opens up some real cap flexibility for them and the potential to add maybe another high-priced player if that's the direction they want to go. Here's more on the specifics.
And if you add McCollum and Kispert on the roster, the Hawks are now, for next year, they have about $121.8 million for 9 players. That's like $45 million below the salary cap. So the Hawks actually have a path now to cap space. Crucially, though, they're $80 million or so below the tax right now. So they have real flexibility to bring back either or of McCollum or Porzingis. I got a lot of questions today about Anthony Davis after this. Like, could the Hawks now turn around and use this flexibility against Anthony Davis? The answer is TBD on that. I'm not making that leap just now. Is it more possible financially without Trae on the roster? Yes.
Matt, I want to go back to you here because you talked about how you're most interested in what happens next for Atlanta. Is it true that maybe we can't even accurately grade this trade from the Hawks' perspective until we know maybe that next part of this?
Yeah, that to me is like where this goes. Is don't ever think of we do this where it's like every possession is or every trade is within this vacuum versus what is the front office's plan over a 6-month period? Do they have one? Sometimes it's the Kings and you know that they don't. But if they have a plan, which I do think this front office does, then I'm curious to see like what happens there. I don't think Giannis is like a realistic option, and we'll talk about a lot of the reasons why, especially like right now coming up. But I do think that this puts you in line to be able to put together an offer to add one of those guys. If you're just like, look, we have Jalen Johnson and we have these young guys. When you kill Alexander Walker, Dyson Daniels, I think is getting exposed a little bit this season. But we have something here. We just got to figure out how to take it to the next level. You were never going to get to that next level with Trae. It was never going to be possible. So that's kind of the thing here is moving Trae opens you up to being able to build towards something new, because otherwise you were always going to be a Trae Young team.
Yeah, no, I agree. Moving off of Trae Young was the thing that put a cap on what your team could be. Now, not to say that you all of a sudden are going to now look like this team that's going to run through the Eastern Conference. You're not going to do that, but just the fact of not having Trae on your team and the flexibility that's there, all that, it just opens up so many possibilities for what you can do now going forward. And if depending on how they finish the season, whether they make another big move at this trade deadline or wait until the offseason, it's been proven, if you have a young core that's talented, you can attract a player to come to that. And seeing how they continue to just fill out this roster is going to be fun to watch.
They could not do anything, and it could work out for them too. That's
true
the other
too.
option, right, for Atlanta, where you look at their cap sheet right now. They don't have a single player making more than $31 million at any point during his contract. In the new kind of apron world that we live in, that's to Matt's point, as long as you don't have that max guy who's deserving of it, that's the way to build your team out, because then you have all this flexibility that Brad was talking about in that clip. Jalen Johnson could turn into that guy, and maybe he's making more than that on his next contract, probably will be. And then they also have this pick coming over from either New Orleans or Milwaukee, the best of that pick swap in a loaded 2026 draft class. They could just kind of stay put, be like, all right, cool. We got some good young players that we're excited about, nobody making a ton of money. And we got maybe a top 4 or 5 pick coming up in a highly coveted draft class here. Maybe the best option, Haize, is just doing nothing.
It could be. It could very well be the best option, and then you just continue to build out your young core, and we've seen that teams have success in that before. So,
I think, unfortunately, there's also the possibility of them trading for Anthony Davis. Like, this could be great, but they could also do something stupid, like, hey, we turned Trae, like they didn't want Trae Young, so we turned Trae Young into expiring contracts and then gave a pick, and we got Anthony Davis.
Matt, defense wins championships. Haven't you heard?
That's true. Has Nico Harrison been spotted in Atlanta? That's the question.
Check the coffee shops right now. We get the Wizards' perspective after this. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions that you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. Who has the time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, it monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. If your New Year's resolution is to get better with your money, Rocket Money is a must. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can see exactly where your money is going every month. That helps you set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checking, your savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture in one place. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. As we roll into the new year, there's a lot of pressure to chase a new you. But sometimes it isn't about reinventing yourself, it's about feeling a little less weighted down. Therapy can help you understand what's been holding you back by giving you an outside perspective on your emotions, your motivations, and your relationships. And that's why BetterHelp can be such a helpful place to start. Their therapists are fully licensed in the US and work under a strict code of conduct. They help match you with a therapist based on your needs and your preferences, so you're not doing all that legwork on your own. And if the match isn't right, well, you could switch to another therapist from their tailored recommendations at any time. BetterHelp has served over 5 million people with more than 30,000 therapists, and live sessions average a 4.9 out of 5 rating across more than 1.7 million client reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We air Monday to Friday from at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's go to Locked On Wizards for their take on the trade. I would say a little bit more excited.
We got a point guard. We got a point guard, ladies and gentlemen. We got Ice Trae in the freaking district. The last time we had a guy with box office like him, John Wall, baby. Russell Westbrook, that was a short tenure, but I mean, this is Trae Young. You don't give up any of your young guys. AJ Johnson fan club. You can sleep happily knowing that AJ Johnson's still a Wizard. I am surprised, though, Ben, that you didn't get any draft capital. I thought with the $49 million that you have to owe Trae Young, you would have to get that Cleveland first round pick that Atlanta had, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, you have a guy that's going to get fans to come to Capital One Arena, a guy that's going to evolve this Wizards development with the young guys, lobs to Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly's game, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Trey to Trey. Are you kidding me, Ben? This is what we're talking about. This is Will Dawkins' plan. Let him cook. And I'm going to say it one more time. I said it with the stream with Greg, or the vid that we did with Greg. Will Dawkins, with Bradley Beal's horrendous contract in probably NBA history, went from Bradley Beal to Chris Paul to Jordan Poole to CJ McCollum and now to Ice Trae Young without giving up any draft capital. Love it.
Matt, a lot to get into here in terms of what this means for Trae Young and what it means for a young Wizards roster. But I want to get to the fan perspective there from the Wizards. Like, are we overlooking nationally, as observers here, the blockbuster part of this for a Wizards team that, to their point, hasn't really had a star in that building for a while?
I don't know, man. Are people really like, oh man, now I got to go to Wizards games? They got Trae Young. Are they real?
Just to add some color to that real quick, the Atlanta Hawks were 26th in attendance with Trae Young and a good young team. The Washington Wizards are just 2 spots below them at 28th.
Yeah.
There's your answer, isn't it?
Atlanta's, I will never understand the dynamics of the NBA in Atlanta. I will never understand it. I think it's good to be excited. I just think it's like blockbuster, marquee, superstar. Like, all right, let's chill out here. In part because I'm not sure. I don't think you should read into this as like the Wizards are becoming a Trae Young team. I think there's a pre-existing relationship. Travis Schlenk is involved with the Wizards management group. Obviously, he's the guy that was like building around Trae, so he can vouch for all the inside intel on Trae and how like his personality, and he's trusted.
Drafted Trae.
But also on the other side of that is this front office has been pretty good about asset accumulation, and it's not gonna shock me at all if they do a half year of this and then they're like, yeah, and then we went and swapped something out. my biggest concern is you got to make sure that Trae doesn't take up all the oxygen in the room. You cannot sacrifice Trae Johnson at the altar of Trae Young. You cannot do that. Like, you have to build for Trae Johnson. Like, he's good enough. He has shown enough flashes in this league already to be like, you need to give that guy opportunities. You need to be patient with your rebuild. I think Young can help Alex Sarr in particular. I think he can make everybody a little bit better. Like, I think he can make them a little bit better. And they're so bad. It's a step up, Haize. Like, no matter how much we dislike Trae and all this stuff, he does make them better and more functional because the bar is that low with Washington. As long as they don't screw up the development curve, I'm fine with it and they can have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I get it what you're coming from as far as you're adding a good talent, but as we've seen, that doesn't always mean that it's going to work out. Just because you add talent, it means your team gets better. So I'll take a more wait and see approach. I won't even say that he's necessarily going to be good for Sarr. Was Zachary Ricochet just not good? Because I don't think Trae Young was good for any of those young players. So we'll see. I'm not saying that he won't be. I'm just saying I got to take a wait and see approach. But as far as like the attendance thing, I don't think that's going to do much for. I don't think Trae Young is a needle mover. I mean, maybe the fans in Washington are so deprived, but I mean, Matt, you just said that they're not good. I'll say this: I don't know if they're not good or they're just not experienced. Like, I think that these young players need to gain experience. I think they have a lot of good young pieces on this roster. So the key thing is how you ended that, Matt. Do not let Trae Young get in the way of the development of your young pieces. If you do that, not only did you not win this trade, you outwardly lose this trade if that happens at all.
Yeah, and that pick is top 8 protected. Like, I don't know how much. I will say this for those that are like, you get to watch Trae Young in the district. Don't know how much that's going to happen after All-Star. So get your tickets now, Wizards fans, because I would imagine they're probably going to shut him down because they can't win games.
I mean, he's injured now, so you're not even getting him right away.
Yeah,
so.
they're on a very clear development curve here, or tanking curve here. They tanked the first 2 months of the season, have turned around and started to win the last month. And they are literally winning games right now. Like, they're 500, which is a huge step up for them. Then they will play through All-Star, and then they will go back to, and now we'll make sure that we get the top 8 protected pick. It's like, so, that may be the problem with kind of what I was talking about with evaluating and then moving on from him in the summer, is they may be like, well, we don't know how good we can be. So I'm just saying that we shouldn't assume Trae Young is going to be a long-term piece in the district.
It'll be interesting to see Trae Young in a change of scenery, a new place that wasn't the team that traded for him on draft night. Like, for a while, the Hawks were Trae Young's team, right? He was the one that was the headliner when they went to the conference finals a few years back. So the change of scenery stuff with guys like this is always really interesting. I think it'll be helpful for a guy like Alex Sarr to have a real point guard throw him lobs. I think getting Bub Carrington off the ball is helpful. Trae Johnson's a 40% shooter. Like, why couldn't Trae Young kind of open up more threes for him? I think it's interesting, at least for those young guys. But Matt, to your point, like, if Trae Young embraces just being the point guard, the shepherd of these young players, maybe on this next contract he is re-signed to Washington. He's just sort of the point guard. He's 27 years old. I mean, he's not really on their age curve. And I'm sure the idea in Washington is maybe, hey, let's maximize this guy's value and flip him later. But in the meantime, or maybe they sign him to another contract that's a little bit more valuable, that is more flippable. I don't know. I think they have some optionality here.
I mean, this is the problem. It's like, Trae's going to still enter that. I mean, that'd be kind of the question, right? Is like, can the Wizards navigate that landscape to be, you should be like, hey, go see what you can get. Like, we only have these resources. This is all we can really afford with our development curve, with where we're at. This is what we're willing to offer. But, go see what you can get. And if he doesn't find anything better, you're good. But the problem is just like, if the Wizards offer him X and a big market team based in Los Angeles that is big into environmental services offers him 0.75, like 75% of that, doesn't he just go do that? There are risks here involved, I think, for the Wizards. Like, this is a perilous situation. You can't get too tied to Trae, but you also can't lose him. And that, I think, is a complicated kind of factor.
I think they can afford to lose him. It's okay. You can give up anything substantial for Trae. You can just like Trae Young's losing his hair, you can lose Trae Young. It's okay.
Haize was right. It's the year of the petty. We got a bunch of other stuff to get to. Giannis recently said that it's not in his nature to ask for a trade. What does this actually mean for his future in Milwaukee? We'll talk about that next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly specials before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing's perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Hawks and Locked On Wizards for more on the Trae Young deal. It's time for Make It Take It. You know how it works. 2 takes, 1 winner. Let's start with Giannis. This was a Q&A between Giannis and Sam Amick of The Athletic. In it, Giannis says that he will never ask for a trade from the Bucks, saying, quote, "That's not in my nature," end quote. When asked if he's decided to stay in Milwaukee past the February 5th trade deadline, Giannis says, quote, "As of today," end quote. Matt, you were the winner of Make It Take It last week. We'll start with you. What was the biggest takeaway from this interview for you? And do you believe Giannis when he says that he'll never ask for a trade?
Yeah, I believe that Giannis Antetokounmpo will never say the words, "I am requesting a trade." That's not how it works. Your representatives do it. There is a feeling amongst people I've talked to in the league that at least Milwaukee is broadcasting this very loudly, that he's going to stay through the entire season, and then it happens in the offseason that they will work something out. The key here is that Giannis refuses to go out as a bad guy. He is not going to do the "I have requested," like Giannis. You're not going to get the Shams alert. Giannis has requested a trade. He wants to avoid that bad blood. I think it compromises something internally for him. I think he's really conflicted. I think he wants to just be like, "I'm with my team. They pay for me. This is my job. Like, I am here." But he has people to look out for his long-term future. And those are the people that will negotiate with the Bucks and be like, "Hey, we really feel like it's time for him to move on." And they'll be like, "Is Giannis wanting out?" And they'll be like, "We really feel like it's time to move on." And there's that's like semantics, but it's an important semantic, I think, to Giannis. So no, I don't think Giannis will ever formally request a trade, but I do believe that he gets moved this summer.
Giannis is a liar. He's been proven as a liar. So no, I don't believe this. When you look at earlier this season, we talked about it, like the whole team meeting that happened, and then Kuzma came out and said, "No, that didn't happen," when Giannis clearly said it did. Then a week later, we didn't pick up on that. A week later, Giannis said that the meeting never happened himself after he did say that it happened a week before. Giannis is a liar. He lies, as every NBA player lies, and say they say what they need to say to the media. So no, I don't believe Giannis will never request a trade, whether he sends it through his representation or whatever else. Giannis will, and if you listen to something, he may have already requested a trade earlier this offseason that didn't happen. So no, I don't believe Giannis Antetokounmpo, because him and every other basketball player, especially LeBron James, are all liars.
Don't change your point on this, Wes, for this, but I think the distinction here is important, right? If you believe that you're like, look, if Giannis' reps do it, it's just as good as Giannis doing it, which is what Haize is saying. I think that's totally reasonable. I also think these dynamics are a little bit more complicated because the players are often just very much they are, and that's your job. You handle my representation. I'm going to focus on playing basketball. I think both sides have an argument there, but that's really what you have to decide here is, are Giannis's agents and people around him, managers, etc., are they all direct representatives of, like, are they just as good as Giannis saying it, or is there any sort of subtle nuance there? That's the question you have to ask.
Really, what the question I want to ask is, do we want to get sued? I appreciate the heat coming from Haize, but I'm going to give Matt the points here just to save face a little bit here.
I'm the calmer one.
That's crazy. That's a crazy reason to give somebody a point. Now it's out there. I said it. If we're gonna get sued, we're gonna get sued.
It's true.
You can the point isn't gonna be why we get sued.
I just want to point and make a ticket for cowardice. This is amazing.
What's his decision to give points here? I'm sorry. I'm gonna start turning into Matt here. I'm trying not to aim my petty towards my co-host, but it may be coming here soon.
Well, let's see what happens next. The Denver Nuggets are 3-2 without Nikola Jokic, with wins over Toronto, Philadelphia, and Boston. Those are good wins, guys. Matt, the ball's yours. Is there something to the Nuggets winning without Nikola Jokic?
I mean, there's something to it in regards to, I've made this point on Locked On Nuggets a lot. These are the best players in the world, man. And the way that we talk about them when we compare them to these superstars drives me absolutely bonkers. I got to deal with not just like general fans, but I got to deal with Nuggets fans being like, this team was trash. They can't do anything without Nikola. I had people after the Nets game saying they're not going to win again until Jokic comes back. And I was like, guys, that's crazy. This is all a probability game. You have X percentage chance in every single game, even without these guys. And Jamal Murray has turned into one of the best pure point guards in the league. He is dishing right now. Peyton Watson has stepped up and provided scoring. But even in that game where all those guys sat, Jalen Pickett, Deron Holmes, all these guys stepped up and delivered because they're NBA players. This is the top 1%. Think of everyone today in the world who is going to pick up a basketball and play. This is the top 1%. And even if those guys are fighting for their spot in the league, they deserve the respect, more respect and consideration. And we need to understand that it is not just Nikola Jokic, but they are not better without Nikola. They are catching teams off guard because how do you possibly game plan for this team? You have no idea what these lineups are going to look like because they don't know. So we need to put respect on the Nuggets and understand that this is just how the NBA regular season works.
Yeah, I mean, for the point potential, I want to argue against Matt's point, but he's spot on. Jamal Murray's averaging the most assists he has for years, and the Denver Nuggets, I think, just to make this more focused on Denver than just generally about the best players in the world. The Nuggets for years, what has been the thing? When Jokic is off the court, the team's production goes down. That was the focus of the Nuggets this offseason, is that they wanted to shore up their bench. They wanted to add depth. I think this is just solidifies the fact that they were successful in doing that. This is why this team is a legitimate championship contender. Take the records, whatever you want to say about it. The Nuggets are a legit championship contender because they have more depth now. They have more quality. Jamal Murray's healthy. He's stepping up when they need it. We already know what Aaron Gordon can do when he's out there and such an important player. But even it goes to the Watsons and all these other guys that are stepping up. This helps this team prepare for the playoffs because you're going to need depth. We've talked so much about how depth becomes more and more important as the playoffs goes on. The Denver Nuggets finally have that depth, and the Western Conference better watch out.
I love this as a stress test for those depth pieces, to your point, Haize. Points to Haize for pointing that out. Final one here to break the tie. The Magic won a dramatic overtime game against the Brooklyn Nets last night on a Paolo Banchero three-pointer at the buzzer. We watched that. Are we sure that they reviewed it? I thought his foot might have been on the line. They never really talked about that. Whatever happened. The Magic get the win. Paolo Banchero finishes with 30 points, going toe-to-toe with Michael Porter Jr., who had 34 in the game. For the season, guys, Paolo is averaging 21 points and nearly 5 assists, while Michael Porter Jr. is averaging 26 points and 3 assists. So here's the question. Haize, the rock's with you. Would you rather have right now for this season Paolo Banchero or Michael Porter Jr.?
I still rather have my Paolo Banchero. Like, it's been a flawed season for Paolo, and we just talked about the fact that he hasn't really made that next step to truly be a star. He's a really good player, but the fact of the matter is that Paolo has been way more important to winning teams and higher on the priority list than what Michael Porter Jr. has over his career. Not to say that MPJ hasn't had a key role in that Denver Nuggets championship team, and he hasn't had big games, but Paolo has been, depending on how you look at it, 1 or 2 with him and Franz. And this is a Magic team that, yeah, while it's been disappointing, I still would rather have Paolo. He's younger. I think the ceiling's higher. And Michael Porter Jr. with the injuries as well, like, is that somebody that you want to bet on? Like, he's been healthy now, and that's fine for the most part. But we all know the injury history that's there. There was a period of time where people doubted if he was going to play basketball. So I still would take Paolo this season for all those reasons that I mentioned. But Michael Porter Jr. is still having a great season.
I think it's a great question because why are the Nets winning? It's defense. That's why they're winning. They are like one of the top 5 defenses over the last 2 months of the season. Does Michael Porter Jr. have anything to do with that? No, he does not. He has nothing to do with that. He has absolutely nothing. He has free reign to do whatever he wants in Brooklyn offensively. Good for him. That's why, like, it's a good opportunity for him in Brooklyn to be able to do this and show what he's capable of. But like, that's not really impacting the winning as much as the defense is. Conversely, though, like, why are the Magic losing? Why are they losing more than they need to? And that's the offense. And Paolo's a big part of that. Like, his inefficiency kind of draws towards that. So it's the stuff that MPJ brings doesn't help you win, but the stuff that Paolo's not doing is helping the Magic lose. So how do you kind of decide this? And the answer is, well, which one of them is going to wind up with a podcast clip that's going to be talked about on OAN and going to cause a distraction in the locker room? And that's MPJ. So Paolo Banchero very, very narrowly gets the win here.
So you're both going for Paolo, making my job very difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. Fortunately, to make a decision here, Wes.
Michael Porter Jr. is higher than Paolo Banchero in every advanced stat. You could go through any advanced stat, the alphabet soup of all of them.
For an 11-win team. Wes.
For an 11-win team, sure, but like his wins over, his WAR is higher, his net points
So
is
he's
higher
Zach
on
Levine,
ESPN.
is what you're selling us.
Well, how am I supposed to break the tie? You guys both said the same guy. I think we got to save this. Do I have to come up with something else?
I thought the podcast line would get me. I thought I would steal it with the podcast line.
This is tough.
I mean, it's still like, are we sure Michael Porter Jr. is even going to be on the court by the end of the season?
I mean,
with the workload that he's taking on?
He's played in like 80% of the games.
He has had 70. Yeah, you're
that
right
guy busts his backside to play. Like he loves basketball. I think Paolo
does.
The other thing, though, I think you can say this on the other side. Why did the Magic win? Paolo, not win. Paolo's defense, because Paolo is an offensive player who also contributes on the defensive side. He gives really great effort defensively for a guy that we all kind of thought was like not going to do that in the league. Like he's given that effort on the defensive end, and that's why Orlando.
Yeah, and he also he still steps up at when the Magic needed the most. He's when the Magic needs somebody, it's usually Paolo Banchero.
Wait, I know the answer to this. The answer is Norman Powell, who has consistently delivered for the Miami.
All right.
There you go. There you go. If Paolo Banchero was on the Miami Heat, they'd be the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Okay, I see what you guys are both doing. Okay, very good. Very good. I'm going to give the points to Matt, and I'm going to do it because right now, that brings the season total on Make It Take It to 6-6. So we are now tied in Make It Take It. I like the idea of starting the new year with a tie ball game here as we enter the rest of the
Wait,
the home
so
stretch
that means that whoever loses next week is gonna 6-7.
6-7. That see, you should lose for that alone.
I kind of want to take the points back. I kind of want to take the points back. That'll do it for us today here on Locked On NBA Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.